Welcome to the Paul Smith College Adirondack Watershed Institute's Aquatic Invasive Species Spread Prevention Training. In this section, we're going to discuss watercraft anatomy and hear from AWI's Assistant Director of the Stewardship Program, Brett Wimsatt.
Hello everyone, this is Brett Wimsatt, the Assistant Director with the Stewardship Program at AWI. We're now going to be covering watercraft anatomy and identification. In this presentation, we're going to be covering what is a watercraft, watercraft and trailer configurations and terminology, watercraft engine configurations and terminology, and watercraft compartments and identification. A watercraft is defined as any vehicle or similar that is used on or under the water. This includes cruise ships, bass boats, pontoon boats, canoes and kayaks, sailboats, stand-up paddleboards, inflatable rafts, or even submarines. Watercrafts can be propelled by mechanical, manual, or natural forces. Examples of this include gasoline engines, paddling, or harnessing wind energy using a sail. The hull refers to the main body and overall structure of a watercraft, to include the bottom, sides, and deck. The hull design is often what classifies the type or family of watercraft. So why is knowing the type of watercraft important? Many AIS, aquatic invasive species trapping compartments, attachments, or engines are unique to specific types of watercrafts. By readily identifying what you're inspecting, you will be more effective in completing a thorough inspection. For instance, did you know that jet skis, or personal watercrafts, PWCs, commonly hold lake water and potentially AIS within their engine cooling systems? By knowing this ahead of time, you can be more prepared when you go to inspect a jet ski this summer, knowing both where to look on the jet ski for AIS, but also knowing to ask the boater to start and burp the engine to check for standing water. You will learn all about this and more as we move through this training. Alrighty, let's get started with some basic terminology of a watercraft. I'll be starting at the furthest left name tag, an arrow. First, we have the navigation lights. These are lights on the front of the boat that help other boats understand this particular boat's course of travel in low light or nighttime conditions. There is a green light on the right side, also referred to as the starboard side, and a red light on the left side, referred to as the port side of the watercraft. Next, we have the anchor locker. This is a compartment where the anchor, chain, and rope are commonly kept. The bow is a term that refers to the front portion of the boat. The helm refers to the steering wheel and other associated rigging or steering methods for the watercraft. The stern is a term that refers to the rear or back end of the watercraft. This particular watercraft has an outboard engine, which is the source of power to propel the watercraft into motion. The propeller is what physically turns in the water, providing thrust for the watercraft to move. The lower unit refers to the bottom of an outboard engine or IO outdrive. This is where the gearing for the engine and propeller are found. A through hull is a small port on the side of the watercraft. This port is an outlet for water to be drained or pumped out of the watercraft. The gunwale is a term for the upper edges of the boat sides. A cleat is an affixed piece of hardware, typically on the gunwale. Boaters use these to tie off a boat to shore or a dock with ropes. The hull, as we have learned, is the main body and overall structure of the watercraft to include the bottom, sides, and deck. So now continuing on to the stern. And as we just learned, the stern refers to the back of the watercraft. We'll cover the primary identifiable parts located in this region. I'll start at the left side of the image and work counterclockwise. First, we have the outboard engine. This is the power source for the watercraft to move. The number on the back or side of the engine refers to the horsepower rating. In this case, we have a 50 horsepower Mercury engine. Next, we have a through hull for the bilge pump. A bilge pump is an electrical pump that sucks water out of the bottom of the boat and expels it through the through hull on the side of the vessel. The transom refers to a vertical reinforcement structure along the stern of the watercraft, and in simpler terms, this is the flat vertical rear portion of the watercraft where the motor is mounted. Again, the lower unit is the lower portion of an outboard engine or IO stern drive and is where the gearing for the propeller is. The propeller is what is driven by the engine to provide thrust for the watercraft. The drain plug is a plug that can be removed from the bottom of the watercraft to drain water. Transducers are electrical transmitters used for acquiring underwater information such as depth, structure, locating fish, and temperature. This information is then displayed on a digital screen found elsewhere on the watercraft. Trailer tie-down straps are used to secure the boat to the trailer and transport. And to hit on this one more time, port is the left side of the watercraft, while starboard is the right side. There are four primary mechanical propulsion types. These include outboard engines, inboard-outboard stern drives, inboard engines, and jet drives. We will now be diving into each one of these, covering how they can be identified and the basics of how they operate. This is an outboard engine. It can readily be identified by having the entire engine and lower unit mounted on the outside of the watercraft. The yellow line in the left image helps to show this. The left side of that image is the engine, and the right side of the image is the watercraft. This is an inboard engine watercraft. Inboards are exactly as they sound. The engine is located inside the hull of the watercraft. Unlike the outboard we just looked at, the inboard is then mated to a prop shaft that passes through the bottom of the watercraft to the propeller. There is no lower unit or gearing on the exterior of an inboard watercraft. This is a fixed position drive system that only has the ability to rotate to provide thrust. These watercraft steer by turning a rudder on the bottom of the boat. An inboard outboard, or an IO, and also referred to as a stern drive, is a mix of an inboard engine configuration and an outboard. An IO has an engine that is mounted inside the hull of the watercraft and an outdrive lower unit mounted through the transom of the watercraft and mated to the engine inside. Unlike the inboard, IOs steer by turning the outdrive left to right, which is the same as an outboard engine. This slide provides a side-by-side comparison for these three engine configurations. The outboard is located completely on the exterior of the watercraft. The inboard has an engine mounted inside the hull and only has a fixed position prop shaft extending from the underside of the hull. The IO stern drive has an engine mounted inside the hull, but has a complete stern drive assembly mounted on the transom below the waterline that provides thrust to move the watercraft forward as well as turns left and right. Jet drive systems are most commonly found on jet skis, which are also referred to as personal watercrafts. However, they are also found on other sport performance boats. Jet drives have an engine that is mounted inside the hull of the watercraft and uses a water intake and impeller to intake lake water and thrust it out of the jet nozzle to both steer and propel the watercraft into motion. Okay, on to other regions of the watercraft. First up are some of the internal compartments that we will need to learn about for inspecting aquatic invasive species. The bilge is the lowest point in a watercraft's hull and is where water collects if the watercraft has a leak, takes a wave overboard, or from water purposely brought into the watercraft for rinsing the deck or something similar. Pictured left and right are variations of drain plugs. As touched on before, drain plugs are used to keep water out of the boat while on the water, but gives boaters the opportunity to drain water from the boat once safely on shore. Next are live wells and bait wells. These are compartments in the watercraft that are used for filling with water and holding either fish caught on the water body or bringing certified bait fish onto the water to be used for fishing. Ballast tanks and bags are water storing devices that are below deck in a watercraft. These devices can be filled with water from the lake via an integrated pump system in the hull. The purpose of intentionally bringing water on board is to assist with weight distribution of the watercraft from left to right and front to back. This is desirable for maximizing cruising comfort in variable lake conditions and for maximizing performance in water sport applications such as water skiing and wake surfing. Now we're going to cover the 13 most common watercraft configurations that we encounter. These include canoes and kayaks, stand-up paddleboards, rowboats and john boats, sailboats, jet skis, pontoon boats, performance ski boats, performance wakeboard boats, pleasure bow riders, fishing multi-species deep V boats, fishing bass boats, cuddy cabin cruisers, and center consoles. This list won't cover every type of boat we're going to see this summer, but it will certainly cover the vast majority. First up, we have our primary paddle sports. Pictured at the top, we have a two-person canoe, and below a single-person kayak. Though these watercrafts are primarily propelled by paddling, electric motors are commonly affixed to provide an alternative means of power. Stand-up paddleboards, or SUPs, are another common New Age paddle sport that you will encounter. Rowboats and john boats come in many shapes, styles, and finishes. Shown here are what I consider to be a standard representation of the models we commonly see in our region. Both watercrafts can be propelled by rowing, an outboard engine, or an electric motor. Rowboats typically have a pronounced V-hull shape, whereas the john boat are commonly referred to as having a flat-bottomed hull. Next, we have our wind-propelled family. Sailboats come in all shapes and sizes. Here are three common configurations: a sunfish, catamaran, and monohull. These watercrafts primarily use air currents as means of movement. However, many catamarans and monohull sailboats are paired with engines for alternative means of travel. Jet skis or personal watercrafts are our most commonly inspected jet-propelled watercrafts. They are considerably smaller than most other watercrafts, coming in at 10 feet on average, and are designed for 1 to 3 passengers. Pontoon boats use a double or triple tubular stainless steel flotation base to support a large flat deck. Most of these watercrafts utilize outboard engines. Ski boats are a low-profile, shallow V-hull that are designed specifically for maximizing water skiing performance. These boats utilize an inboard engine. Wake or wakeboard boats have a taller profile than ski boats and typically have a more pronounced, deeper V-hull design. These boats are designed to maximize skiing, wakeboarding, and wake surfing performance. To achieve perfect water sport conditions, these boats are equipped with ballast tanks to fine-tune their wake behind the boat. Wake boats have inboard engines. Bow riders are the standard boating platform for the general recreating public and family use. They typically sport a shallow or deep V-style hull and can be paired with either an outboard engine pictured to the left or an IO stern drive pictured to the right. This is your classic deep V multi-species fishing boat. They are most commonly paired with an outboard engine and will be set up with many fishing attachments that you will learn more about in the Watercraft Inspection PowerPoint. Bass fishing boats are purpose-specific fishing boats, designed to go fast, have a shallow draft, meaning they don't sit low below the water's surface, and support a large casting deck for ample room to cast fishing rods. These boats will always be paired with an outboard engine and will also have common fishing attachments such as trolling motors on the bow, fish finders, and shallow water anchors on the stern. Once again, we will touch base on these in the next presentation. Cuddy cruisers, also called cabin cruisers, are a much larger boat ranging from 20 to 40 plus feet long and are most commonly found on the bigger lakes in our region, such as Lake Champlain, Lake George, and Great Sacandaga Lake. Though these boats most commonly sport IO stern drive engines and outdrives, some models will also have inboard engines. Center consoles range from 12 to 40 plus feet long. They can easily be identified by having the helm or steering wheel and console located in a central location on the boat. These boats typically have outboard engines on the rear. However, many models do have IO stern drives or inboards. So now we have the two most common trailer configurations you'll run into this summer. On the left, we have a bunk trailer. The bunks are the black rectangular bars in the center of the picture. These bunks are what the boat is supported by when sitting on the trailer out of the water. Alternatively, a roller trailer, pictured to the right, has multiple sets of plastic wheels on a rail system that similarly support the watercraft out of the water and also assist in rolling the boat on and off the trailer when launching or retrieving. Alrighty, let's run through the typical parts of a roller trailer. We'll start at the left side of the image with the license plate. Though the license plate is not present in this image, this is where it would be located. The brake and directional lights are for travel on the road. The roller bunks, as we just discussed, are what supports the watercraft and helps the boat roll on and off the trailer. The axles are what the wheels are mounted to and allow the tires to spin. The rest of the trailer is then built atop of the axles. The frame is the primary skeleton of the trailer that forms its shape and structure. Cross members provide extra support to strengthen the trailer's frame. The winch post, roller, and safety chain are used to pull the boat onto the trailer when retrieving and secure the load for travel on the road. The tongue is what connects to the trailer to tow the vehicle using a trailer hitch. The safety chains are a chain that connects the trailer to the tow vehicle and will catch the trailer if the tongue and hitch fail. The jack is what supports the front of the trailer when not connected to the tow vehicle. Wheels and tires are for overland travel, and fenders are to protect the boat and other vehicles from kicked up road debris such as rocks. There are truly endless watercraft configurations, and you will certainly see more than a handful that weren't shown in this presentation. The most important takeaway is that you become more familiar with the general styles of watercrafts, their engine configurations, and how they are towed down the road. In the next presentation, we will be using a lot of this same information to dive deeper into how you will inspect these watercrafts to ensure that they are clean, drain, and dry. Thanks for tagging along, and I'll see you in the watercraft inspection presentation.